Welcome back again. I'm so excited to be here on this Wednesday, and I think we got a really special story today. Back when I was in Kansas City and I had to teach speech and debate, one of the things we did in speech was called storytelling. And there was a girl who came to me and said, I have a book that I want to tell, and I would really like to know if it's okay. And she goes, the book that I want to use is called The Lotus Seed, but what happened was the first half of the story, I remember my one grandmother telling me. But the second half of the story is how my grandmother was here in the United States told me. Linda was from, or Han, was from Vietnam. Now, if you look closely now, you'll see a map here of Southeast Asia. And on the map, you'll look and you'll see a little red star. That is from Vietnam. Han, or Linda, she was born in Vietnam. And when she was about 6 years of age, her parents were able to get here to the United States. And she said that when she was growing up, her grandmother in Vietnam would tell her this one story about the lotus seed. But when she came to the United States, and one day she was in school, and they did not put her into a school classroom that had other students who couldn't speak English. They just put her in a regular American classroom, and she was trying to figure out what was going on, even though she didn't understand English. And she came home one day, and her grandmother sees her upset, and the grandmother starts telling her the story of the lotus seed. And she goes, yes, my other grandma, my Bob used to teach that to me. And so she wanted to share this for her storytelling. So today, I'm going to read to you the lotus seed, because it became a story that I really liked, because it told me about life and some of the things that several of my students had experienced because they were from Vietnam. My grandmother saw the emperor cry the day he lost his golden dragon throne. She wanted something to remember him by, so she snuck down to the silent palace near the river of perfumes and plucked the seed from a lotus pod that rattled in the imperial garden. She hid the seed in a special place under the family altar, wrapped in a piece of silk from the aldai she wore that day. Whenever she felt sad or lonely, she took out the seed and thought of the brave young emperor. And when she married a young man chosen by her parents, she carried the seed inside her pocket for good luck, long life, and many children. When her husband marched off to war, she raised her children alone. One day, bombs fell all around, and soldiers clamored door to door. She took the time to grab the seed, but left her mother of pearl hair combs lying on the floor. One terrible day, her family scrambled into a crowded boat and set out on a stormy sea. Ba watched the mountains and the waving palms slowly fade away. She held the seed in her shaking hands and silently said goodbye. She arrived in a strange new land with blinking lights and speeding cars and towering buildings that scraped the sky in a language she didn't understand. She worked many years, day and night, and so did her children and her sisters and her cousins too, living together in one big house. Last summer, my little brother found this special seed and asked questions again and again. He'd never seen a lotus bloom or an emperor on a golden throne. So one night, he stole the seed from beneath the family altar and planted it in a pool of mud somewhere near Ba's onion patch. Ba cried and cried when she found out the seed was gone. She didn't eat, she didn't sleep, and my silly brother forgot what spot of earth held the seed. Then one day in spring, my grandmother shouted, and we all ran to the garden and saw a beautiful pink lotus unfurling its petals, so creamy and soft. It is the flower of life and hope, my grandmother said. No matter how ugly the mud or how long the seed lies dormant, the bloom will be beautiful. It is the flower of my country. When the lotus blossom faded and turned into a pod, Ba gave each of her grandchildren a seed to remember her by, and she kept one for herself to remember the emperor by. I wrapped the seed into a piece of silk and hid it in a secret place. Someday I will plant it and give the seeds to my own children and tell them about the day my grandmother saw the emperor cry. You know, the lotus seed tells about the Vietnamese culture. But I also think of my Christian culture. The one thing that I find very, very important is for me to share Jesus with my son when he was a child, with my grandson, and with you as the kids of our church. It is very important that we remember that Jesus is our hope. And it is important for us to share Jesus. Just as Ba gave all of her grandchildren the seeds, we need to make sure that we are giving the seed of hope, the seed of Jesus Christ to those around us, to our family, to our brothers, to our sisters, to our cousins, and for some, even to your parents. So today, when you think of the lotus seed, remember the beautiful flower, but more than anything else, remember that Jesus is our hope, and we must share that hope with others. Have a good week.